What's up? What's up? HD's back. He's back. It's the real HD. No glasses, no casual. Just laid back HD again, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. HD's back, man. Anyways, yeah, I just had to knock out that presentation yesterday. I just really wanted to, go ahead and keep it professional. I just really wanted to go ahead and just knock out some things that were on my mind, keep it just super serious. And, man, you know what? I'm back. As you see, I always got to start with my hype music. Shout out to Matthew Plant. Tell you, man, this is my theme song for the summer 2025, man. It's my theme song. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is HD Rhodes. And the reason we're here is it's all about you. It's all about you. The reason it's all about you is because I don't know how your life has been so far, but I know over the last 50 years of my life, man, it's been a book. I've written a novel of my life, you know. If we look at the things I went through the elementary school and then to middle school and then to high school and then to college and then, you know, growing up, getting in the work field and then, you know, becoming a parent, getting married, you know, I've been through a lot of, peaks of mountains, valleys, the whole nine. But I thank God that, you know what, I built it all, I had it all, I lost it all, and God gave it back to me, man. And that's really what I want to share with you today, is God blessed me with an opportunity to be able to share with you how you can be able to take the gifts, how you can take your dreams, your goals, your vision that God created you to be able to manifest on this planet so that you can live the best life you could, so that you go on the best vacation you could, so that you can literally live life, you know what, at the top, the tip top. You know, that's why I'm here, is because God blessed me to be able to get in contact with an online platform, a business opportunity that is the greatest opportunity I've ever seen in my life. And the product is you. One more time, the product is you. And so you go, HD Rhodes, you know, it's all good, man. You know, I got a great life. I'm married. I got my 3 kids, white picket fence. And you know what? I like to always start off this presentation saying, look, man, if you're trading your time for dollars, I'm not trying to hear you living the dream life. You know what? I remember back when I was in my 20s, I thought I was living the dream life. You know, I was making $15,000, $20,000 any given month in the mortgage industry. That was U.S. I was staying in Canada. 1.5 exchange rate. Every $20,000 that me and my wife were blessed to be able to bring home, man, that was $30,000. And I thought I was living it, man. I was like, man, I gave my wife an allowance every month. Here you go, babe, $2,000. Do you, babe? Have fun. And I'm nonstop bopping. I'm on the phone. Like, thank you for calling HD Rhodes. How can I help you? Thank you for calling HD Rhodes. How can I help you? Thank you for calling HD Rhodes. How can I help you? And I was on top of the world, man. I remember, man, we paid my wife's Jeep Wrangler off in cash. I remember, you know, right before we moved to Alabama, I went down and was getting ready to go buy a Lincoln Navigator, black tinted windows, chromed out rims, captain seats, cash, man. I was living my dream. First baby I had was a boy. He was a son, named it after me and my father, Harold David Rhodes III. Shout out to Trey Reezy. Love you, son. Anyway, my kids already know their dad's crazy. They have fun when they're with their dad. Because you know what? The one thing I always looked at is, I said, if I had all the time, all the money to do whatever I want in this world, to live the way I wanted to live it like this. Because you only live once. You know, you only live once. And once you're gone, it's gone. And so I always wanted to do it big. I wanted to have fun big. When I was dating my wife, you know, we'd go out. We were having fun. Go out to the clubs, dancing. Man, we'd go out on dates, romantic dates, candlelight dinners over by the water. You know, life is meant to be lived. You only live once. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why we're having this conversation. Because too many of you say, you know what, there's more to life than money, but you're spending 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day to earn money. Don't tell me there's more to life than earning money when that's what you do 5 and 6 days a week. All you're doing is nonstop bop. Yep, thank you. Thank you. Or you're out there working, you know. I used to be there. I know what it's like. I've been there, done that, and I'm telling you, there is more to life than money. But how would you know if you're working 10 to 12 hours? I understand. HD, man, the cost of living is expensive. You got to do what you got to do. Exactly. And that's why I'm on this live today. Let me break down why you got to do what you got to do. Because what happens is you're trading time for money because you know what? When you grew up, your mom, your dad, I bet they're like my mom and dad. And a lot of people, I'd say 99% of the majority of people's parents told them when they grew up, you got to get a good job. You got to work hard, move up in corporate America. And what did they first tell you? You got to go to school, man. You got to go to work in school. You got to get good grades. Well, unfortunately, I wasn't getting the good grades. You know what? I was kind of being and seeing my way through school, if you know what I mean. And it wasn't because I wasn't trying. I mean, I didn't find out till I was in college that I had a reading deficiency. I mean, I remember, man, I could sit there and read. I could read this piece of paper 10 times over and over again. And if you ask me what I just read, I'd be sitting there like, I don't know. But what we found out in college is what you probably know just by talking to me right now on this live. HD's brain be going like this, baby. My mind be going so fast. And once they got my eyes to be able to keep up reading just as fast as my brain was working, oh, baby, it was game time. It was over. HD was getting A's in school. HD started getting letters from the dean's list. Man, my parents are so shocked. I remember my mom actually didn't even keep the letter from the dean because she thought that I'd somehow, forged it. And that was before we had AI. I mean, man, I don't know how you parents do it these days with AI. You can pretty much make anything. But back to what I was saying, back in college, man, it was just hard work. I put in the effort. God blessed me to be able to get the grades because I took extra classes when I was at Bellevue Community College. One of the best places on earth to be able to go to college. I met some great friends, met the love of my life back then. And you know what? Life got even better because I met 2 millionaires that radically changed my life forever. They introduced me to direct sales network marketing. And this is the thing of which they told me. They said, HD Rhodes, if you want to be successful like us, you want to make millions of dollars like us, then you got to prove that you're qualified. And I said, what are the qualifications? And they said, there's 3 qualifications to be able to work with me, HD. They said, number 1, you got to have a dream that's real big. And I said, you don't got to worry about that. You know what? I remember being in class sometimes I'd be sitting there yawning. The only thing I'd be doing was dreaming. And they said, not that kind of dream. They said, if you had all the time and money in the world, what would you be doing? And I had to think because, all my life growing up, I only had one dream. And that was to play pro basketball. I was like, I'd be on the court crossing people up, quack, shooting left, pull back, hitting jumpers. I'd be backing them up, spinning, dunking on people. I was like, man, I was so laser focused on the NBA. Then I got to college and I realized, man, I got to guard guys who are 6'8". 6'9", and their guard's position is me. Man, I'll be playing basketball in college and people are in the stands looking, going, who's that little guy? He's so cute. I'm like, cute. It didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that, what? Unless I was Muggsy Bogues or Spud Webb, my chances of actually being able to be in the NBA wasn't going to be, 100%, if you understand what I'm saying. I had a jump shot. I could jump out the gym. But you know what? What happened was I was in college and I started studying business and finance. And because I started studying business and finance, when I was offered the opportunity to see direct sales from some multimillionaires, and they started breaking down, that most people who have a lot of money have no time for their family. And a lot of people who have time for their family, guess what? They don't have no money. And they said what they wanted to do is to show me a way to create financial freedom. And what does that mean? That means being able to have unlimited amount of money coming in, okay, 6, 7, 8 figures coming in residual every month, every year, okay? At the same time, being able to still have quality time with your family. So that means you're able to go ahead and take vacations, be able to go out to lunch or dinner with your loved one, significant other, be able to go on vacation with your kids, take them up to the Swiss Alps, or maybe it's Whistler. Maybe you want to go to Cayman Islands, or maybe you want to go to Cancun, or maybe you want to take your family to St. Bart's while everybody else is in school. That's what you call financial freedom. And if you look at my video that I recorded on Saturday, you got a taste of that financial freedom because that's what I was sharing. As I was walking down Robson and we're looking at the AMG Mercedes, we're looking at the Lexus, we're sitting up here looking at that red Ferrari. I was like, woo, baby. My juices were flowing. As you can tell, I was super excited just thinking about it now. Then we started walking down Albany Street. I can't even say it right. Albani, Albany Street. And that all I know is I seen Cartier, I seen Prada, come on, I seen Tiffany's. Who's all out there? Man, where are my fashion buffs? Come on, give me a woo, woo, woo. That's what we're talking about. If you had all the time and all the money, what would you do different than you're not doing now? That's the question today I want to talk about. See, because what most people don't understand is to be able to have that lifestyle, they got to stop trading their time for money. And Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book in which I first read 30 years ago called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And what he taught in that book is the first thing you need to understand is the difference between an asset and a liability. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. Liabilities is all the things that takes money out of your pocket. You know, kind of like you're going to the movie, liability. Going out to eat, liability. But how do you turn that into an asset? And that's what I want to talk to you about. Because there's two tax systems in North America. In North America. It don't matter if you're in Canada. Don't matter if you're in the United States. There's two tax brackets. One for the rich, one for the poor. Close. One for business owners and investors, and one for those who are workers. If you're a worker, you're a W-2 employee, or you're a T4 employee, then you know what? There's 4 income drains that you're going to have to be fighting for the rest of your life until you catch on and understand that the rich get richer because they're on a totally separate tax system. So those people who actually have a job, work at T4, you know, in Canada, or a W4, a W-2 employee in the United States, every time you get paid, before you get paid, there's something that comes out of your check. That's right, income taxes. Then when you go to buy something with your check, what do you have to pay? Income taxes. Then at the end of the year, the third time you got to do it again, you got to pay taxes. But did you know if you had a home-based business or you own your own corporation, you'd only be paying taxes once a year? The best part about owning a business is, you know what? All those things that you were buying throughout the year in an attempt to be able to help you to be able to create a profit is now you're able to go ahead and write it off. Check that with your tax professional. And I'm not talking about H&R Block, because they only work one time a year. Go to a business tax professional, a tax specialist who works with business owners. They'll be able to confirm and tell you, HD Rhodes knows what he's talking about. Because if you made $100,000 in a job, by the time you get your check, you're only going to get 50% of that, about $50,000, right? Then you're going to try to budget off that $50,000. But when all your friends are talking to you, bragging about your cool job, you know, I got this nice white-collar job and I get to travel all over. You're talking about the hundreds of thousands you make. Truth is, you're only making $50,000, and off that $50,000, divide that by 12, it's close to about $4,000 a month. Now, with that $4,000 a month, you still got to go ahead and buy food. You're going to have to pay your car note, your house note, and then what you're going to have to do, pay your bills. So it's not really going that much. But if you switch that $100,000 and was earning that in your own business, you'll be able to keep the full $100,000. So instead of budgeting $4,000 a month, imagine being able to now budget $8,000. I don't know if you caught what I just did, but I think I just doubled your income if you follow what I'm saying. Now, let's talk about the other thing that you're going to fight when it comes to the second income drain is interest. And most of you do not understand how much interest literally leaks your financial ship. See, because I'm not just talking about your credit cards, I'm not talking about the house, and I'm not just talking about your car. You already understand interest rates because that's the mortgage rate you got on the house, that's the interest rate you got on the car note. And God forbid, one of the biggest interest rates that most people don't pay attention to is when you spent that $300,000 to $500,000 to get that Harvard, Stanford, McGill, or UBC education. Now, I understand you got a good education so you can get a good job, but what I want to teach you is how to be able to take that good job, upgrade that so that now you're able to have a job that you create. Be in business for yourself. Why? Because now you're going to be able to all those things that are your expenses. You know, your golf course, going out to eat with, you know, your colleagues or your or your partners, or you know, the people you're doing collabs with. What up, Matthew Plant? Me and Matthew Plant, we got a lot of tax write-offs. There's a Chinese restaurant over here we frequented about, what, 3 times already in the last 2 weeks? Come on now. Man, you know we're getting a tax write-off and that bad boy getting that money back. So number 3, let's talk about insurance. Insurance is the third income drain that's attacking your financial bank account. And what happens? You need a car insurance for a car. You need home insurance for a house. You need medical insurance. Even in Canada, you still got to pay a deductible. I work for a big company out here, driving a truck, and guess what? You know what? Pretty much most of the medical is free if you go, you know, to the doctor, whatever. But those deductibles add up, man. And God forbid you end up having to see a specialist because you have some kind of sickness or disease that's not covered with your basic medical plan. So like I'm saying, one more time, income tax, interest, insurance. The fourth one is the biggie. The fourth one is the one that is the reason why your parents and most of the people you know, once they hit my age of the big 50, shout out to all those people. The 50 on up, man. We grown folks now. I don't know about you, but look, man, I'm even starting to get a little gray. I guess that means we might know something. So that's why I'm showing y'all what's going on today. I know just a little bit of something, and I'm going to share it with you. Inflation actually doubles the price of your cost of living every 10 years. So that means in 2025, if you just graduate from college and you know what, you were blessed to go to one of these major universities, you went into a job not based off of, you know what, going, well, what do I like to do? You know what? You got into a job that said, I need a job that's stable, that's going to pay good money so I can get a house. I'll be able to take care of my parents when they're ready to retire. It's going to allow me to be able to have a wife and kids and be able to provide for them. Congratulations. But if your job's paying you $100,000 in this year, 2025, that means in 10 years, in 2035, you're going to need to be making $200,000. Now, that's not going to be a big jump because some of you guys are ready, coming out of college, and you guys are real excited, and you're like, woo! You're like Frogger, ready to jump, and you're ready to work and grind your way to the top. And that's great because you're going to need to ride your way to the top to make $200,000 a year by the next 10 years. But the question is, 10 years after that in 2045, are you going to be making $400,000 a year? I had to pause on that one because that was one of them things that just kind of hit me in the brain. You know those emojis where you see the guy go, yeah. In 20 years, if you're not making $400,000 a year, then that means that your income is actually not working for you. It means your spending volume is going to be less than it is today. And the worst thing is in 2055, that means if you're not making $800,000 a year, you're falling behind. And that's the reason why you see most people at the age between 45 and 50, after their kids go to college, everyone makes the executive decision. Well, honey, we really don't need such a big house. The kids aren't here anymore. No, the honest to God, the truth is you guys got a lot of debt. I know. Used to be a mortgage broker, like I said, for 10 years. And I work with doctors. I work with dentists. I work with tax professionals. I work with financial professionals. I even work with people who, they were real estate investments professionals. Man, I worked with everybody. I had worked with people who made millions of dollars. They had 3 properties, 4 properties. I remember doing a loan for a gentleman in Atlanta who had 2 investment properties that were back in, when was that, man? I think it was 2000 and, goodness gracious. I have to think about that. My son was born in 2022, so it would have been 2003. In March of 2003, he had 2 properties that were worth $25 million each. Commercial property in Atlanta. Because I remember we were making $50,000 just off of those 2 properties in commission. Like I said, I worked with a lot of people in my day. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. The opportunity in which I'm about to explain to you, man, is one of the best opportunities I've ever seen in my life. Because it's going to allow you to go from the left side of the cash flow quadrant that Robert Kiyosaki talked about in the second book, which you have no leverage because you're either an employee or you're self-employed, to allow you to be able to start your own company, which is where you're going to have leverage. When you own your own company, you have leverage. You have people working for you, okay? Or at the bottom of the cash flow quadrant on the right, he talks about investments, which means you have your money working for you. In that book, when you read what Robert Kiyosaki talked about, he said one of the most common investments for most investors is investing in corporations because they have people going to work making money for them. At the same time, their money's going to work for them. So what I want to show you is a platform called Vibe, VYB. And what that stands for is, visualize your breakthrough. Man, you said visualize my breakthrough. Why is that? Because if you have a dream, you have a goal, you have a vision, if there's a gift that God put in your heart in which you've always wanted to start, maybe it's a clothing line and you just didn't have the money or the time or the connections, or maybe, you got all those things, but the biggest issue is right now you need branding. Well, guess what? Vibe is a company that you're looking for. You know what? Vibe's put together the tools, the mentorship, as well as the technology. They put together the branding for you. They've even put together a shop so that you can go ahead and sell your merchandise. Maybe you're an author, you wrote a book. Maybe your book's been sitting on Amazon for the last 5 years and you're not even making $500 a month. Well, Vibe had over 70,000 entrepreneurs who opted in between December 17th of this year and May 1st. And the reason that they opted in is they seen the platform that was going to allow them online to not only start a business, but it was going to help them take their business from step 1 to done. Okay? Maybe you're a preacher. In the middle of going through a recession, you know what? Financial times is going to be hard to be able to keep up with the church. But imagine having an opportunity to be able to do your Bible study or to be able to put together your value-added course online and be able to share it with over 70,000 willing and able, ready-to-buy entrepreneurs who want to be able to learn from you. Oh, I forgot. Now, if we're talking about entrepreneurs, I'm sure they all have a minimum of 100 customers. So now we're talking about 7 million eyeballs. And if you understand what we're talking about, you would understand why my buddy Rob down in Washington, what up, big Rob? When I called Rob, he said, HD, before you pitch me a business, I just have one question. If you're going to show me a way that I can teach karate all day long, and that's all I got to do and I'm going to make money, he said, then we can talk. I said, Rob, get a pen and paper and make sure from now on when you're teaching karate, you hit play after you put record on that cell phone. He goes, what you mean by that? I said, Rob, I'm about to teach you one of the greatest secrets of entrepreneurs that's getting ready to be launched because of the advent of the technology that we like to call AI. See, normally in my presentations before, I like to start at the very beginning talking about the trends, how we went from, the agricultural age to the Industrial Revolution. You know what? Let me give you a summary. Technology came. They started shifting products from the West Coast to the East Coast, depending on where the manufacturer was, to the end user. As technology continued to get better, you know what? What happens is the railroad system gave way onto what? Commercial driving. So you had commercial trucks and semi-trucks taking the products. As technology continued to move forward, we went from 100 people answering the phone, Ma Bell, thank you for calling AT&T, to only 10 because the technology in the phone in the office was able to transfer and put things on hold. And what am I trying to tell you? Technology is what drives success these days when it comes to corporations. You always want to get in right before technology just overtakes a particular industry. And right now, AI is about to take over because we went from the Industrial Revolution to streamlined distribution. Hey, that's when a lot of these direct sales companies got in business. Why? Because they knew that, a lot of companies were trying to set up hubs internationally throughout all the different states and provinces so they didn't have to spend so much money in shipping products from the East Coast to West Coast. God forbid there's a big storm in the Midwest and you got a big shipment that's coming from the East Coast and it gets delayed. You know what? That just made business sense. Well, as we went from that to the dot-com era, we had people like Jeff Bezos who said, you know what? I know there's a brick and mortars out there that are selling more books than most people could imagine. He goes, but I'm starting to think the power of this internet, watching what this technology is going to do, that I could start my own business in my garage and I would be the biggest bookseller. And he bet on himself. And today we know that company is Amazon.com, which today is one of the largest distribution companies, period. Not just books, technology, toys, clothing, you name it. Because he got in right before the big wave of technology of the internet took over. And now we see a social media. People are going from, back in direct sales, streamlined distribution, it used to take 2 to 5 years to become a millionaire. Now you got people becoming millionaires overnight with the advent of social media. We call them what? What do we call those guys? Content creators. Come on now. Influencers, content creators. That's why we're looking for you. We're looking for them, entrepreneurs. We're looking for educators. We're looking for all of you guys. Why? Because the AI is taking over. There's going to be more people laid off. And you know what? A lot of people are going to be learning online how they're going to be able to get their second job, third job, or how to become an entrepreneur. And that's where Vibe comes in. We're going to be the connection for the community, to get you education, to give you technology. We're going to give you mentorship, and we're going to help you brand yourself and be able to make a fortune working out of your own house. Maybe you could be working from the beach. You could do like my brother Matthew, man. Shout out to Matthew Platt. Come on now. Man, this brother's deep, man. I see him. He is one of the hardest workers I've ever met. But he's blowing up the music scene right now. I'm telling you, man, I'm believing he's going to be one of the #1 gospel recording artists of 2025, especially by this summer. Because you know what he's doing? He's busting his butt and he's making all his music. And he's sitting up here making videos, editing on his phone. He's sitting up here, writing his music, producing his music, editing his music, all from a cell phone. And you could do that with your business with AI. And that's why we're talking today. Okay. Now, what has Vibe put together? They even put together an educational course that they started off, okay, in which their core products was supposed to be financial literacy. Okay. They're going to teach you DeFi, crypto, Forex. They wanted to teach you how to become a professional investor, teach you everything that had to do with money. But you know what? As the owner of the company, Megan Lynch and Reagan Lynch, her twin sister, as they started talking to some of their friends who they've been in business with over the last 10 years, they started thinking that while they're building this big platform, as they joined forces with a gentleman who's almost a billionaire from the technology that he's put together, in which he went ahead and made with this platform, using his skill set, they started thinking that why don't, instead of just having, just a financial literacy company, what if they started adding their different friends, businesses, and ideas? And next thing you know, this thing morphed into what we call an ecosystem, okay? So imagine, you could go to Beachbody or you could go to Vibe. You could go ahead, same apps. You can have same different instructors. Man, you can even have people, if professional, personal trainers, man, tell them to give HD a call because I'm going to show them how to make $20,000 a month while they sleep, okay? And you say, how am I going to do that? Because you imagine if you charge only $20 a month for your course, okay? And you had 1,000 people subscribe. Well, 20 times 1,000, 20,000. Now, what happened if everyone referred one? Well, then that means next month you would have doubled your income to 40,000. Well, what happened if everyone was so excited they're losing weight and you were giving them a nutrition plan to follow and everyone was losing weight and the guys were muscling up and the women were getting their sexy back? Well, the third month they probably refer one again, and you would have went from $20,000 to $40,000 to $80,000. If that makes sense, then I think you're starting to catch on, because that's the same thing I shared with my friend James down in Dallas, Texas. He's a musician. He plays music in cafes, jazz concerts with famous musicians. He even plays in his church literally every single weekend. But you know what? The one thing is, when I explained to James, I said, imagine the power of music and having, you know what? The visibility of 160 countries around the world, in which there's over 7 million eyeballs. And I think there's at least probably about 10,000 people who might want to learn music from a professional like you. Well, if he charged $20 per month for his course, and he had 10,000 people sign up for that course, well, then I just helped James make over $200,000 that month. Now, if you're catching what I'm throwing down, then I think I got your curiosity, because what we're talking about is not something small. Okay. Now you could say, hey, maybe there's some people go, you know what? Maybe I don't want to start a business. Maybe, you know what? I just want to learn how to be able to do Forex and crypto. Great. Guess what? We also have classes on teaching people how to be professional sports gamblers. That's right. Professional sports gamblers. HD, why would you do that? Because they're teaching that in college classes as well. And guess what? We figured at least we could be responsible and make sure that we have professionals teach you so that you don't lose your home. Okay. So, you know what? I said all this to say this. At the end of the day, you're not going to find a better platform that's going to be all-encompassing when it comes to you being able to start your business. And it doesn't matter if you're an educator, content creator. It doesn't matter if you're a musician, if you're an artist. It doesn't matter, what it is you do. You know what? I talked to my cousin's son about a month ago, and I asked him, I said, what are you doing for a living? And he told me, you know what, man? I have a mobile detailing business. I said, that's awesome, man. And so I went ahead, and after I shared this information with him, I got him on a three-way call with one of my best friends named Jerome Majette, because Jerome Majette is going to be teaching classes within Vibe, and he's going to be doing something in which every entrepreneur needs to know, which is called attraction marketing. Attraction marketing is a way that you can go ahead, build your business without sitting up here, running all your friends and family away every time you decide to come out with a new product with your business. Attraction marketing is a way that you're able to market your business, which actually allows you to become the hunted versus you always being the one who's hunting. And Jerome Majette, he wrote a book 18 years ago, and he wrote a book called Why Did God Make Man? And what happens is, as he put his book on Amazon, and it sat there, he's telling me, I think it's last week, it's about $1,000, $1,500 just to do the marketing for that. He said, but what's powerful is once he's able to start learning attraction marketing, it positions his book to be in a situation where a platform like Vibe, he would be able to have his book that he would, normally sells on Amazon for like $29.99. He could turn around and sell it on Vibe for $19.99. So we'd say $20. Now, while he's teaching attraction marketing, people want to know more about him, say they go buy his book. Say Jerome has, 5,000 people get in this course this month. Okay, 5,000 people at basically $20 each is what? You're starting to understand, that's a lot of money. It's $100,000. Okay, now what happens if everyone's so excited with this attraction marketing course? A lot of the entrepreneurs are making more money than ever before. It doesn't matter if you have a restaurant down the street, maybe you have a pawn shop down the street, maybe you sell cell phones. Doesn't matter what kind of business you have, brick and mortar. Attraction marketing is the difference in you being where you are now or doubling, tripling your revenue. And that's the course that Jerome Majette's going to be teaching. Now, you say, HD, that all sounds good, pretty good, but you know what? I'm a network marketer, and I got a big, a team right now, and, I like what you're saying, but is there a way that I could be able to leverage that platform? And the answer is yes. And the reason I'll tell you this is because tonight I'm going to be doing a separate presentation. It's going to be at 9:30 Eastern time, and I'm going to do what they like to say is show you the money. And it's going to be focused on, that presentation is going to be focused on showing you guys how the money's made, because there's 5 ways you make money with this. So far, I only talked about one. The second way you can make money for this is what this company does is they basically run off a subscription service, kind of like your Netflix, kind of like your gym. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like your cell phone. But the difference is, with this particular subscription, you're able to get your education, your technology. Imagine if you had your Chat GPT. Imagine if you had your internet. Imagine if you had, all your marketing, your website, you had all that in one. How much money would you spend? for that, to be able to advertise your business on social media, to be able to have it on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all that money starts to add up when you're trying to monetize yourself. But with Vibe, you have one low fee. Well, what we have is a membership, and because this company is direct sales, we're building and getting the word out by word of mouth. And so what happens is, imagine if your gym said, you know what, HD, every time you come to the gym, if you were to just bring one of your friends and they decided to come work out with you, and we give them a free membership for, 7 days. Now, at the end of 7 days, HD, if they sign up, guess what? We're going to give you, let's say, HD, you pay $50 a month at the gym. We're going to reward you with $10 out of the $50 that they're going to pay us just for saying thank you, HD, for helping us to expand our business. Now, I don't know about you, but I probably have about at least 100 colleagues and coworkers going to my gym, because 100 of them times $10, man, that's an extra $1,000 a month. Not only would that pay for my gym membership, that'll pay, that'll pay my car, pay for my gas, might be able to go ahead and pay for your house note. I don't know, but it might be able to. You know what? Right now, I'm not driving a car. Thank God I'm in Vancouver. They got a good train system. Right now, I don't have to have a house note. I'm renting a room. But the point is still the same. If you had an opportunity to do that at the gym, wouldn't that be a great opportunity? Imagine if Costco did that. I'm just saying, it just makes sense. That's only the second way to make income. Like I said, tonight I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put on a nice PowerPoint presentation and just show you how the money's made. But you know what? I'm going to give you tell you one more. So I'm going to give you 3 ways out of the 5 that you make money here. The third way is, they have what they call a legacy matrix. And basically what that means is, a lot of people in direct sales, they understand there's different matrix the way you get paid. In our company, they have what's called a 3x10 matrix, which means basically you're going only 3 wide and you can go 10 deep, and you're able to get paid literally 10 levels deep in your company, in your business. Now, I don't know about you, but if you times 3 times 3 is 9, right? 3 times 9 is 20. 3 times 9 is 27. Go on to do that 10 levels and start adding up $5 bills for all those people paying their membership. Yep, that's right. We're talking about you have an opportunity to literally make up to over $400,000 a month just off of that third income stream alone. Now, anyways, I don't want this particular live to go too much longer, because tonight I'm about to be showing y'all the money. I'm about to make it rain on y'all. So at this time, I'm going to go say peace. I'm going to turn on my favorite artist, my man Matthew Plant, and I'll holler at y'all later. Seek discernment, preaching worship, tables turning, flip my Bible hurting.